There is a knowing here that you need, and that is it doesn't matter. It can go left, it can go right, it doesn't matter. Where are you in the participation in it? That's what matters. You are looking outside of yourself, dear one. The work you need to do for any of these things to be in your life what you want them to be, the work you need to do is in here. We understand the frustration of that. This one wants to spit when we talk to her of practice. But that is what it takes. It is learning to live in the present moment. It is learning to find the joy and the contentment and the fun in the present moment. It matters not what you do. How does the individual sit in joy and peace as the war rages around them? But they do, because the joy and the peace comes from the oneness, comes from knowing that in this moment you are one with all, every being on every planet, in every dimension, physical and non-physical, you are one with. What a miraculous knowing that is. But to feel it and to have that knowing and to know that in this moment, if you can do some silly tip, trick, or hack that will make your energy raise, that is like a pebble in a still pond, and it's going to go out into all aspects of this life, but also all aspects of all incarnations, all dimensions, all realms. It is remarkable. You have that control. So when you think of the things that you need to do and you are putting in your data and you picture the web and you picture your heart space connected to that all, you are one little dot of energy on this web that connects the entire infinity that is everything. And you picture sending that love and that frequency out and lighting up that grid, lighting up that web as it goes away from that little pinpoint that is you. There's the joy, because it is truly changing your actual planet when you do that. When you sit in the energy of sending love out, sending out compassion, or sending it in, even more, sending it in. When you spend time loving and nurturing and caring for yourself, you are turning, because you are it all. You are turning the frequency up. We know that answer does not give you great satisfaction. When you want to go into your human mind and look at this course, the course is lovely. This one over here is lovely. This one over here is lovely. It is all absolutely okay, and it matters not. Does it resonate? Does it feel exciting and fun for you to do, or does it feel like drudge and work? Have you grabbed onto something that isn't really feeling like it is the path you're supposed to be on? Then let it go. Let it go. There is no judgment, because it doesn't matter at all. None of what you do matters. None. It is how you be. So the question would be, how do I be? You be in love. You love you. You do the work you need to do for your inner self. In this incarnation, the incarnation that is Michelle, this timeline, okay, in this incarnation, when you look into your childhood, do you see patterns of behavior in your life now that are caused by your childhood? That anxiety, that depression, and all that is the stuff. So let me just explain that a little bit. So this is how my guides have helped me to understand it. We have an emotional continuum, okay? In the very center of that emotional continuum is our adult self, and it's neutral. Our neutral adult self. Neutral being that you're the observer. You can see, you don't judge it as good or bad, it just is. Okay? When we feel the emotions on this side, which are joy and fun and wonder and awe, that's our inner child. Those are the good ones. But when we feel the depression and the anxiety and the not enoughness and the fear and the whatever, that's our inner child too. And like in myself, it's the big deal about me booking this trip is because I was raised with my dad telling me, you've got to be careful, somebody's going to steal you. He told me that over and over, and he meant it from his place of fear that somebody could steal and take his little girl away from him. And so I have this friggin' thought when I'm out in the world, like, gee, well, first one thing I think is, who the hell wants me? but there is that little girl inside me that has to be reassured that Kelly Bowker, adult, can maneuver a airport, can maneuver if my plane got canceled, I could figure out what to do. I'm a strong, intelligent, powerful woman. But the little girl inside me is scared to death. So the work is the relationship between adult Kelly and child Kelly. I've got all kinds of videos on my YouTube station about it. There is a beautiful site that I used when I was going through what you emotionally described when I was in my like 56, 7, right in that. I decided to do some counseling. It took me a while to get there, but I did some counseling. And in that counseling, she introduced me to inner child work. Then once my guides came through, they took it and they gave me their slant on it. Okay, inner child work's been around forever. It's psychology, it's psychology. One of the things that my guides have said is that the reason why the frequency of our planet is raising the way that it is because even uneducated people know about, it's talked about in such mainstream whatever, everyone knows now, lots and lots of people know that our subconscious is laid down from the time we're born until we're between 7 and 9 years old. I'm sure you've probably heard that before. And that we run on our subconscious 90% of the time. Only 10%, 5 to 10%, are we consciously, deliberately using our brain and making decisions. The rest of it is autopilot. It's autopilot. Well, if you were like me and you were told, smile pretty and bat your eyes and daddy will be in a good mood, that taught that little girl, number one, looks matter. If you don't look pretty, smile pretty and bat your eyes. So I've lived my whole life dieting and blah, 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 blah. I had to let go of all that. And I have, thank you very much. I have. But so those, I didn't know that. All these fucking years of living, being on a diet I weighed 105.9 and I weighed 148 pounds and I was on Weight Watchers when I was a junior in high school. And my mother let me because she was a big woman and she was afraid I would get fat. And I took that on and I lived my life on a fucking diet until about 2 years ago. And now it's like, screw you, I will never diet again. If I've got a little chunk on the monk, I don't care. That's part of my story. But those are things laid down in childhood. And you have to heal it. And how do you heal it? You bring your inner child into your experience, sit her in your lap, and you say, tell me what you're feeling. So, like an example would be, I use an example of my last year of teaching. I was up in my classroom. My boss, who was a man, very direct, very stern man, calls my room and says, Mrs. Bowker, can you stop into my office before you leave for home today? And I said, yeah, not a problem. Immediately my chest gets all tight. Oh my God, what have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? I'm all scared. So I was in the midst of doing this work. I was daily practicing what I preached and doing this inner child work. And I'm like, wow, I'm really responding to that. But I just made mental note of it and let it go, pushed through it, went down. It was nothing. He wanted to tell me about some meeting that was coming up. On my ride home, I took my phone and I put it on voice memo because I'm not great at journaling. I like to write, but I can't spell. So it interrupts my flow of thought when I write. So I record it. I set that, I actually would put it into my pocket so that the thing was up by my mouth. I'm driving. And I would start, as my counselor taught me to do, this dialogue between myself and my inner child. So I said to my inner child, I'm like, sweetheart, what was the matter? Why did you get so upset when Mr. Ring called? And then I waited. I held space and I waited for her to answer. So in my mind, I'm shifting into that inner child, that 5-year-old perspective of his big voice coming through. And I said, what if he's mad at us? And adult Kelly comes back with, well, why do you think he's going to be mad? Well, because he might be and he might yell. You're worried about him yelling at you, honey? Yeah, people yell when they get mad, they yell. Tell me about that. Tell me about when people yelled. And then I just let that little girl talk. That it made me scared. Daddy yelled a lot. And it made me scared and I wanted to go hide. And I just let her talk, and as the adult, like I would talk to you or I would talk to my grandchild, the adult, compassionate, loving, intelligent, neutral as much as possible adult, I just kept letting her talk and express all that fear. And then after a while, I said, baby, I want you to know something. I'm a strong, powerful woman. And if Mr. Ring had raised his voice at us, I would have made it very clear that that wasn't okay. And if he continued to, I would have taken us out of there. I'd have put us in our car and I'd have brought us home. Because I'm not going to let anybody yell at you, pumpkin. I'm not going to allow that. I'm a strong woman and I'm not going to allow it. And she's like, you really won't? And I'm like, nope, we're okay. You don't have to be afraid. This is what's coming through, Michelle. So this is what you need to hear. You've got some you work to do. You are so focused and you're keeping yourself distracted in your life by all these other things. I need to learn how to be a yoga instructor, a Reiki instructor, a blah, blah, blah. It's all out here. Those are all wonderful things, and certainly enjoy them in whatever way you can enjoy them. But you need to do some internal work so that when you are sitting in the quiet by yourself, you can find that inner smile.